Hello everyone, VanguardOfValor here, and welcome back to another episode of Banished here in Xanadu. Now, in last episode we survived our first year here. We've managed to get ourselves a very, very basic start. We have a gatherer's hut over here getting us our basic food supplies. We have 4 homes for our civilians, a woodcutters which provides us with firewood, with which we survived the dreadful winter. We're building up a blacksmith over here who will allow us to get new tools. We have a storage pile and a simple barn. But so far, we're doing okay. We're not dead yet, we're not doomed yet, so we'll just keep working on and see how far we can go with this. So for now, we're going to get ourselves back in real time again, there we go, and see if we can make it through our second year. Now, one thing we're going to want to start doing eventually is start building roads, because once we have roads in our city, people will be able to move a lot quicker around. Using the roads isn't something they'll always do, but the roads do allow to give them a speed boost while they're walking along them, which is generally nice. We are out of wood, we're out of a lot of resources in fact, so once we get this building, we're probably going to take it easy on the building front for a while and just build up some resource stockpiles. We actually have stuff with which to build. That's always good. We have another adult, which is good. 2 more adults, in fact, with Dora recently aging up in the winter, so that's very nice. And the more laborers we have, the quicker we can get resources and bring them to our stockpile, as is always useful. But we're starting to need something a little bit different. We need leathers with which we can make clothes, because without some way to actually get those leathers, we won't have the clothes we need to keep our people warm as the days get cold. So we are going to have to expand a little here again in order to accommodate that need. What we're going to build is, there it is, our hunting cabin. So a hunting cabin is a pretty nice little building as well, which synergizes quite nicely with our gatherer's hut here. We're going to build ourselves one right here, facing it, I think. It's still a good amount of space in the forest here, because that'll allow us to gather more. And what these do, basically, is they will hunt deer that come into our the range, which is shown by the yellow circle there. We know there's some deer here. They do move around the map, though, so it's not important that we don't actually cover these ones, because they do walk in and out as they please. Once we have that up, that'll be able to get us some venison as well, which is a nice source of food, and that will help us through the coming months as well. Now, once we get that up, we'll build some other things in this area, but for now, that'll do just fine. We have our blacksmith finished, which is good, but we need to have someone to work it, so we'll assign one villager to work here. That is always nice. That will allow him to turn iron and logs into tools, which we'll be able to actually use to do the jobs we need to get these resources. It's always good to have people doing these kinds of tasks, otherwise you can find yourself stuck pretty easily. Thankfully, that shouldn't become a problem anymore because we have one now, which is great. It's going to take us a little while for them to really get working, so we're going to have to set ourselves a little bit of a faster time. I do play most of this game on a 5x speed, so we can actually build things and get our resources and whatnot at a reasonable speed. Occasionally I even play at 10x speed, because having that extra speed boost can help you get through long winters when there's not a lot happening, or you're waiting for food to stabilize or something like that. As it is right now, though, we have a pretty decent amount of food, which is very nice indeed. If we can get a little bit more production going, we'll be looking great, because as it is, we go through it pretty quickly, even though we make a pretty decent amount. But so far, so good. So, we want to get this hunting lodge set up so we can get our hides, and it'll also be another source of food, and then we'll be able to work on some other stuff. One thing we are going to start, though, is we are going to start putting in some more roads to get around. So, we're putting in some dirt roads here. We'll start off putting a road near our production district. We'll expand our roads down to the homes here, which is nice as well. Now, I might expand the road with the homes that begin this way, but for now that'll do. Now we're going to extend this road over to, here we go, over to our newly built hunting lodge and gatherer's hut, and that'll allow people to get around this town a little bit quicker. It does take a builder time to actually make the road. Let's see if we can see whether they're actually producing the roads yet. Looks like this section has already been built, but this section here has not. As you can see, these guys are building it right now. It doesn't really take any resources, it just takes them a bit of actual effort. We can't click on it to see how much work it's taking, but you can see how the general idea goes. And that'll help people get around town quicker, which is generally very useful. And having people ways to get to work, get their work, things from works to supplies are also a good idea. What are we low on right now? Food. We are a bit low on food, but once we get our other buildings built, we should be fine. These guys need logs, stone to build this, so we need to make sure they have a decent supply. We are getting our wood and stone and iron and whatnot built up as we go, though. So we're going to just make sure we're getting everything here. Use the remove all resources tool and just clear through this whole area. We're going to want to clear cut probably most of this to make sure we get a good amount of wood and whatnot to keep ourselves going. But we're also going to want to build up some more gatherers' huts and things nearby, because those are a great way for us to get more food without having to do a whole lot. These guys actually produce quite a lot of food. We can check how much they're producing with this menu. In the last season, they produced close to 1,000, rather close to 1,500 food. 1,300-ish. Which is very nice, especially when you're struggling to get by. We have very little food to deal with the 19 people in our civilization right now. So, we're going to make sure we build some more ways of getting food. Now, this will work once they eventually build it. So in order to make sure that happens, we're going to increase its priority so it gets done quicker. Using the priority tool is a very important thing if you actually want to get anything particular done. Otherwise, people tend to do kind of a variety of whatever. Now, we are already at the 200 fuel limit, which is good. Early in the game, we don't want to make too much fuel because he'll just keep making firewood until there's nothing else to do. So we're going to take him off the woodcutter's job right now because we have plenty of firewood. As it gets low, we're going to need to put him back to work. But for now, we can actually use this time to build up more of a wood stockpile and get another laborer out of the deal as well, which is nice because that'll help us get our resources a bit quicker again. Now, we're getting very low on hide coats, which is going to start becoming a health problem. But for now, it's okay, as we are building up our hunting cabin. So we should get an opportunity to start getting some deer fairly quickly. Now, hopefully we can actually find some in this area, because as far as I can tell, there's not a whole lot. We have some right over here, so we might be able to get some of them, which will be good. But we do need this building to be built pretty quickly. One other thing we're going to start building is... where is it? We're going to want... I could build a fishing place, but it's super important now. You're going to want an herbalist soon. The herbalist isn't super important, but this gives us the ability to keep our health up by gathering herbs. And since we already have a forestry center over here, where we have a bunch of trees that we're going to be maintaining and that kind of thing, it's a good idea to build this in with everything else. A nice combination that you can have is a nice little set of 4 buildings. You have a gatherer's hut, a hunting cabin, an herbalist, and a forester's lodge. The forester's lodge gives us a renewable source of wood as they plant new logs as they go. Oh, wrong button there. And it also gives us a slow source of incoming trees as they cut down trees when they get old. So it's not the best way to get wood in a hurry, but it is a renewable way of getting wood, which is important in the late game. Right now, though, we're not going to worry about it. We can just clear-cut large areas and build a forester's lodge later when we want to repopulate them with trees. For now, though, we're going to prioritize getting ourselves the hunting cabin, gatherer's hut, herbalist resources that we need immediately. The herbalist isn't super important, but it does help us deal with our impending food issues. Now we have ourselves the hunter's cabin. These guys should start killing things, gathering us some leather, which we can then turn into clothing, but in order to do that, we need a tailor. So we're going to build ourselves another important resource building over here, the tailors. Unfortunately, that goes onto the mountain a little bit, which is unfortunate, but that just means we have to turn it around, and we'll build it here instead. There we go. So our construction district, or rather our resource building district, is going to expand a little once we get this built. We're going to prioritize this again, because this is definitely important. If we run out of coats before the winter happens, we're going to be in trouble. Leather can be pretty easily turned into coats, so that's not too bad. Our tool limit is good, it's set at 50, so we'll hit that pretty soon, then we can deal with that later. But yeah, for now we're not going to be worrying about overproducing for trade or anything, we just want to make sure we get things built. Whew! So we have an herbalist coming up over here, which we'll be able to use later on, which is good. And we're having our tailor being built over here to make us clothes so we survive another winter. Also good. Now, hopefully people keep cutting down the trees we need, otherwise we're going to start running into wood problems in the upcoming months, but for now we're looking pretty solid. Our builders are hard at work, we have a lot of different building projects on the go at once, but they are doing a pretty good job of prioritizing the tailors, which we need more in a hurry. If we don't have those clothes soon, we will be in some serious trouble. I like how the trees go yellow there before they all go bare, except for the evergreens, of course. Very nice little touch. And these guys build pretty quickly. We have a couple of them working on it at once, and they'll come and go as they please, producing up our tailors. Now, this is another building that's going to use more of our population, but we need this kind of stuff to happen, otherwise we're going to have a hard time actually surviving. We're going to want to build more houses soon. If our population gets too old, it can be very hard to get new people in. That was a problem I had in a previous game. I was too cautious with expanding my my homes because I wasn't sure if I could feed them all, and it was very difficult to get an influx of new children. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to put down one new home. We're not going to go over the top here. We just want one new home, because one new home will let us have an extra family, which will provide us with a couple more children, and that will be good for our overall population issues. But it shouldn't break our food system just yet, since we do have a couple people now bringing in food. We get some venison from here, not a lot, but some, and we have the Gatherer's Hut bringing in a healthy supply of onions, roots, mushrooms, and berries. That's all very good. Another nice thing about the Gatherer's Hut is it brings in 4 different kinds of food, because eating a variety of foods helps your population stay healthy. Now this guy says he doesn't have a lot of leather to actually make coats with, but he should get some over time, and as we see there, the little symbol that he didn't have any went away. Over here, our blacksmith has reached the cap, so we're actually going to take away the blacksmith job again as well, because we want to make sure that we're not wasting our early people, because we really need them. So this will make sure that we're only doing things we actually need to get done. We're going to go down to only 2 builders as well, so we can make sure we get all the resources we need. It's already early winter, so we're going to start going through our firewood. We might need to put our woodcutter back on his job very quickly if the conditions worsen and it gets colder, as it rapidly will as winter progresses. Oh boy, this city. Xanadu, you're much, much less than an idyllic place so far. But hopefully we'll be able to turn that around with some good hard effort. Now this giant lake is kind of disappointing, being so close to our starting spawn, because this takes up a lot of ground where we could have forests within easy access that we'd be able to easily gather from, but for now it'll have to do. One thing we're also going to want to make sure we do is we're going to clear all the iron and whatnot out of this area so that we can actually get trees growing there later. So we're going to make sure we collect stone from this entire area, and we're going to make sure we collect iron from this entire area, because we don't want to actually have any interfering with places that trees could be. There we go. Now, we are starting to run out of firewood quickly, so I'm going to put our woodcutter back to work there. We have a surprisingly mild winter. We're just getting rain, and the temperature hasn't really dropped that much, which is really nice. We might get snow later, though, which could be bad if we run into problems there. We have a little influx of extra clothes, which is great as well. That'll help us avoid getting too cold. It is a really, really mild winter, though. Surprisingly so. Some winters are worse than others, but this one is surprisingly not a big deal. So, we don't have our herbalists yet. I'm going to have to increase the priority on that so it actually gets finished. We did build our other home, though, so we're going to get more people coming in now, which is fine by me. This will start expanding the family here. Cameron and Katrina. We have Selmers, Zandria, Lamarcus, Naldine, Xavi, Richella, Menaker, Skyla, Demon, that's an interesting name, Tamaran, Zandri, and Levant, and Andri, Lis, Ewell, Sweller, and Dora. I think you can rename people. No, you can't rename them. They don't exactly have the best life expectancies anyway, but we cannot, in fact, rename them if the desire took it. I think what we might do, though, is build ourselves another Gatherer's Hut over in this area and another Forester's Hut as well, so we can actually get some trees in there. The thing about the Gatherer's Hut is that it works best when there are lots of trees and what around. The things like our mushrooms grow better in these wooded environments, so that's always good to keep in mind. The herbalist will help us increase our health, though, because as we can see, our average citizen health is dropping pretty quickly. Our happiness is good. People have plenty of food, in fact, but our actual health is getting down pretty quickly. I think we'll build one more home. I think we can probably sustain that right now with what we've got, but we don't want to go overboard, so we're going to want to also start building up another food source. So over here, a little bit further away, we're going to build up another section for a Gatherer's Hut, which is, of course, this one. I always get a bit confused with some of these menus. They're very similar looking to me. So I think we're going to put our Gatherer's Hut over here. There's a pretty good amount of stuff here already. And when we build one Gatherer's Hut, we are, of course, also going to be building a nearby hunting lodge to go with it to give us that extra food support. I'll put it there. Can I build on this side? Yes. Put it there. Seems good to me. And we'll put a hunting lodge over with it. We don't actually have the population to really support these buildings yet, but that should be okay at the moment. And that way we'll be able to get a bit of extra food from that as well. I might want to put a forester's lodge over here, but I will not be building an extra herbalist for a little while. Since we already have one, this should be more than enough to deal with our current population. We no longer need anybody working in the woodcutter, so we're going to take them away. We have our good stockpile up again. And there we go, we have an herbalist. I'm only going to assign one person to start collecting herbs. We don't need a whole lot of herb right now, but just enough to actually keep our health high. Surprising, we actually went back up a half a heart there, which is nice. We have a bunch of new children, which might have been what brought our average up, because I believe they all are born fully healthy. For now, though, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. We've got a lot of stuff that needs building, so we're going to prioritize these buildings over here, because without them, our food situation could rapidly get out of hand again. And as soon as that happens, you're in a world of hurt. And we're also going to want to build a road from there back down to here, but for now we're going to leave that alone. Alright, we're looking pretty solid here. We're doing okay. It's not the end of the world just yet. We'll see if we can get to the end of year 3 in this episode, and that would be a nice place to stop, I think. So we have our herbalist who should start gathering us herbs. These are going to get used up pretty quickly, I think, because we have a lot of people who aren't in great health, and that will help them get into a better situation. Our food stores are a little bit low. Our clothing is getting up into a pretty decent, constantly rising state. Our tools and our firewood are pretty stable as well. Our resources are kind of low, though. We want to make sure that people are still gathering, so we're going... I probably shouldn't have cut all these trees down. We're going to gather from somewhere different that we're not going to go build up in immediately. So we're going to cut down these trees over here, because we're not going to use those for anything. Oh, wrong building. Those symbols are the same. I don't like that. I always click the Forester's Lodge instead of the Harvest Trees button, just because I get confused. And we're also going to take all the stone and whatnot out of these areas to make sure we have a good influx of stone and whatnot again, because we need to make sure we keep our resources high. Now, the stone and whatnot is actually pretty safe to gather wantonly. Same with the iron, because there's a lot on the map, and once we run out, it doesn't really matter. It's not like it's going to multiply if we leave it there, whereas trees, I believe, do plant seeds, which will grow as we let them live. I accidentally closed both of those things. Not quite sure how that happened. Pop them back in. There we go. These close seem to close a lot. I may be closing them, and I just don't notice. I probably do that a lot, and I apologize if it gets really irritating to watch, but I can't help it. It just happens. So, they are starting to build these buildings, which is good. We've cleared out all the trees from them. They're starting to bring wood and stone to them, so we'll be able to do that. We are low on stone, but that's fine for now. I have given people a bunch of new tasks to go get more, so we'll be able to deal with that as it comes. Now, yeah, I think we're okay here so far. We do want to try and make sure that our... we're building the hunting cabin first, that's unfortunate. Our gatherer's hut is our priority over here because it's an easy way to get food early on, but we're going to want to get our hunting lodge built as well so we can use that once we have more people. More children being born is good. Make sure our population doesn't collapse eventually just because it has too many adults, which is definitely a problem we may very well have. But for now, we're looking okay. We do want to prioritize some stone, though, because otherwise we're not going to have enough for the buildings we're trying to make. So we're going to go over here. We're going to hit prioritize. We're going to prioritize some stone. There we go. Eventually, we'll want to probably build quarries to actually make sure we get our stone more permanently. Might as well clear this out as well. Gather all the stone in this area because we're going to want to build trees there instead. Build trees. Grow trees there instead. Here we go. We have plenty of iron coming in, which is good, but we're very low on stone, which is going to make things like our production over here tricky. So let's clear out some of this iron while we're at it. There we go. Look at all those deer. Come over here near our hunting cabin. I'd love to kill you all. Get some lovely, lovely meat and leather from you, with which I can make clothes. We have 18 herbs from the current season. Not a great haul, but it'll do for now, I suppose. Some leather and venison coming in from our hunting lodge, which is good. Okay, we're getting through the summer. Once we get later in the game, we can... Oh, look at all those guys. Just come over this way. Once we get later in the game, it's a lot easier to justify going at 10 times speed, but early in the game, you want to kind of keep a bit of a closer control on it, I find. If things like your food get out of control, you want to be able to react to it more quickly. As it is, though, we're looking pretty good. So I might boost the speed until these constructions are finished. We'll see how that goes. We'll quickly go up to 10 times here. Our hunters will, rather, the people set to a job will split automatically between all jobs that are of that type. So here we have people working in our hunting cabin, right? We only have 1 of 3. If we come over to the other hunting cabin, where we previously had 2 workers, we'd only have 1 of 3 again. We can assign more workers to work here, especially since we got more people who just grew up. Menaker, Xandri, and Sweller all grew up to be adults recently, so we can apply a couple more people in here. And that will spread them out across all the buildings. This is a global thing, and this increases the cap, surprisingly enough, not how many work at this building. I'm not sure if you can actually micromanage that, so that's a bit of an odd choice, but it's not a real problem. So I'm going to stick it back down to 5 times speed again, I think, and keep going here. Now, they should start working on our gatherer's hut next, which is fine. I want to make sure that our resource gathering keeps happening at a good rate, though, because we definitely do need more logs and stone. We have a good amount of iron, since we're not using it very quickly, but we definitely need more stone. So I might even send them all the way over here to grab this. I think I already have marked this, though. Just quickly double check. No, I have not. Let's gather that stone, because that's a pretty good reserve of stone there that we can take advantage of. There's a lot of stone over here. There we go. That's a lot of stone marked, which will be good. We have a bunch of trees marked as well, which is also good. And we're looking pretty solid. I might cut down all the trees over here that are outside of this range, since we can't take advantage of them anyway, and they're pretty close to our homes. Our herbalist goes right up to there, so with that in mind, we can basically clear-cut this area here without too much penalties. So, let's harvest some trees from over here. That way we can get some more wood pretty close to home, and we're not actually penalizing these buildings we need. Alright, so our herbalist is being constructed, which is great, or rather our gatherer's hut, and then we can build in our road to connect back to the main part of town. We're going to want a bunch of these outbuildings all over the map, most likely. Not too far away if we can help it, because if they're miles off, it's going to be difficult for them to actually get resources back to us. But a couple of them nearby will definitely solidify our food situation, make it a lot more feasible for us to actually keep our civilization going. We're going to build another house. I think our food situation is stable enough that we can afford another house. I might wait a little bit longer before another one. See, our food situation is constantly going up right now, which is good. Once we have our hunter's lodge and our other gatherer's hut again, we'll be pretty darn stable, and we can afford to build a couple more houses. We'll have to wait and see how it goes once we get this going. If we can build up a nice stockpile, that would be good too. But we'll have to wait and see where we're at. There we go. Gatherer's hut is finished. We're going to put a couple more people into these places because they're super valuable food sources, especially in the early game. There we go. So we're already in autumn of year 3. We're looking pretty solid here. Our herbs are gradually actually having a backup, so we can actually make use of them, which is nice. Okay, we kind of need more gatherers to take in all of these resources, because we're still very low on stone and wood, which is going to be a problem if we actually want to build anything. But for now, it's not so bad. We have a good stockpile of tools. Firewood is getting low. Oops. Woodcutter, you need to be doing work here. We're already down to 33 and the winter just started. Hopefully he'll still be able to maintain enough for 7 homes, I mean. The more homes you have, obviously, the quicker people go through firewood, since they're using the firewood to heat their homes. Surprise, surprise. So it's, we can actually see they have some in their stock, but they have 54 firewood. Holy cow. You guys will be fine for ages. There's a lot of firewood in these homes. That would explain why there's not in reserve. People have already taken them into their houses. But as the winter goes through, people use the firewood pretty quickly. So it's a good idea to keep producing it, otherwise people are going to have problems. They look like drums. He's hitting logs or something, which is what he's splitting these smaller logs on. But it looks like he's drumming. The drumming sound effect kind of adds to that effect too. But yeah, what we're going to do right now is we're going to build ourselves a road over to our other district over here. Ooh, that took an interesting turn there. That's weird. That's very weird. If we build a road to here, can I then build another road straight through here? That's really weird. Why can't a dirt road be built there? Oh, there's a stone in the way. That would explain it. So we'll just build this up to here, and we're going to tell them to remove the stone from there, and then we can build the rest of the road. Let's prioritize that instead. Make sure they actually get it out of the way. There you go. There's a stone in the way. That would explain we can't build a road there. Alright. The tree isn't a problem, apparently. They can build right through that, but the stone? Can't deal with the stone. Alright. We're looking okay here, though. Our firewood is keeping up with the amount of logs we have, with the number of people needing wood, so that's not a problem. We have plenty of food now. I guess those extra gatherers' huts are definitely doing good work for us. And things are looking pretty solid here. I like it. Our army of deer marching away into the sunset. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. We can see there's little resource pockets on the ground there. It's funny, though. You'd think that people like gatherers would gather them and bring them back with them, but sometimes they just leave them on the ground and leave. Is that another one over there? I think it is. I think it's nuts. But yeah, it's kind of weird how they do that, but whatever. Building a road is nice. That'll help speed things up quite considerably. And it'll also make the resource return from these places a lot quicker. There's a whole lot of deer over here, guys. Hunters, get on this. Might increase the number of hunters. We only have 3 laborers, so I'm not in a huge hurry to to remove all of our labor force, because without people doing that labor work, it's going to be hard for us to actually get new resources. So we're going to build the rest of our road as well. Make sure this connects to our buildings here. There we go. That'll do. We're probably going to build a forester's lodge over here to reforest this area. That'll be a nice addition to this section of town. We're very low on firewood, but the winter's just about over, so hopefully our woodcutter can keep up with demand. There we go. He's doing fine. He's doing fine. And we might want another forester's lodge over here, because there's a lot of empty space where there was stone and iron and whatnot earlier. So that might not be a bad choice. The only problem with a forester's lodge is that it takes people to manage, and we don't really want to be putting people into that kind of job right now. We just want the trees to start growing so we can get a better haul from the buildings we do want. For now, we'll make do, though. We're up to 25 people in our town. We've almost made it through the 3rd year. Bunch of new children, which is good. All right, we're looking pretty good here. Our blacksmith is still pretty stable. We don't need anybody else in there right now. Our clothes stockpile is increasing pretty significantly, which is great. Once we hit up to 50, we should be fine to sit there for a while. We have a good amount of stored medicine. We have a decent amount of stored food. We can probably afford to have another home, so let's build another one of those. We could probably afford to have a couple extra homes, actually, but let's go up to 2. 2 new homes. We're going to be very careful to not let things get out of hand here. As soon as we overreach our population is when we're going to be in serious trouble. But for now, I'm going to say we can probably afford that much, at the very least. And that'll help get us more workers to build more things. So, here we are in year 4. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I think we're going to end the episode here. I'm going to double check quickly the time before I say anything rash. But I think we're pretty much done, so I'll check quickly. Here we go. Yep, as I suspected, we are at about the right time to end this episode, so thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has been Vanguard of Valor, bringing our little town of Xanadu into its 4th year. We've survived 3 full years so far with a surprising amount of success. We got a good amount of food, good stability with our other resources. We're just going to keep expanding and hope things go for the best. For now, though, this is it. So, thank you all very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, bye-bye.